You know the saying, you should try your best. I would say that you could be the best. Maybe top 20% of your class good enough for you? No. If you want something, you got to get after it. And then you start producing good results, and then you will build confidence along the way. There's a particular case here, 10 techniques that I script as medical students. They help me get into medicines, and I use these on a day-to-day basis. Half of them focus on the actual study techniques, and the other half focus on study mentality, which is just as important. Let's start with the first one. For study for the testable core material hours. So let's say box represents all the information that it presents to you. And the start in the middle is the testable material. So one who doesn't know how to study will go from top to bottom, covering every single detail. And when the exam time comes, they haven't covered like 20 to 30% of what is testable. Whereas someone who knows how to study will start from the middle, you study from core materials that is testable, and then study hours, and then when the exam time comes, although they haven't studied anything, everything they studied what is important and what is testable. Now you want to be the best student as possible and want to be the best doctor as possible. So when studying, we have this tendency to try to learn everything, but you have to make this mindset shift from focusing on those long-term goals to short-term goals. And those short-term goals, when you're taking courses, is to pass and get good grades in every midterm and in every exam presented before you. And then those long-term goals will take care of themselves. So how do you know what is testable or not? There are three ways of figuring that out. First is to look for the practice tests or previous tests. Sometimes the teachers just give to a couple questions at the end of the lecture to go over on pay attention to those. I also looked at online in undergrad to figure out if there were any practice tests lying around. I asked seniors if they have taken the course, if they had any practice material. I asked my friend who are also taking the course. You gotta use your resources to figure out if there are any additional study materials that you can use. You have to think like a seminar or learners when you're going to a material. You always imagine in your mind, how can I test this in a multiple choice format? How can I test it in a short answer format? And then try to learn that way. Number two on the list is to write good, concise notes and then plan out your timing for on midterms and on your exams, and then constantly evaluate at your studying so that you're not falling behind. So, for example, let's say you're taking 5 courses, and before midterm, you can go over 10 lectures per course, and then each lecture has 50 slides. That's up to 2,500 slides that you have to go over before a midterm. So you have to write a good concise note that summarizes everything that makes it manageable for you to go over materials before you write a good midterms. So you're not overloaded. Try to write a good note that concise as possible to contain keywords and important information. You know that if you don't remember something from your note, you have a PowerPoint slides that you can always fall back on. Number three on the list is to use active recall when learning. I made videos on this previously that you can watch, but let me expand on that for the here. And let me start off by giving you examples of students who don't know how to study. So when presented with information like mitochondria is a powerhouse of a cell, and then when we do it without thinking, they just write. Nothing is coming to the brains. So what I do when I'm going over my notes is, when I read the information, I write only the keywords, and then as opposed to looking at my notes, I look at that keyword. For example, what is mitochondria. And then I try to think mitochondria is the part of a powerhouse of a cell, right powerhouse of a cell. And then I try to supplement information from the lecture's powerhouse of the cell because produce ATP. So I'm using all my senses. I'm writing down, which is my tactical motion. I'm saying things out, which is verbal. I'm looking at my notes. Previously, I'm using my visual cues, and I'm saying I'm saying some also using my body senses. And most often, when you actively recalling, you cannot remember all information, and that's okay because studies have shown that just by attempting to recall, you are creating the connection between the information and your memory. Number four, I cannot emphasize this enough. Reviewing is just as important as learning new information. So if I have 20 lectures to go over before midterm, for example, as opposed to go 1 to 20 and then go back to 1 to 20, I'm going to do is I go to 1 to 5 and then I review 1 to 5 quickly and then move on to 6 to 10. And then while sometimes 6 to 10, even more quickly, I go over 1 to 5 and then look 6 to 10 and then I go into 11 to 15. Often you have to time to this correctly before midterm so that you actually cover everything. Number five is more mentality thing. You have to study harder for your midterms than your final exams. You're going to obviously study hard for your final exam, but you have to study harder for your midterms because that sets the tone for the entire course. As you got a partner on the midterm, the entire course is just a sketch-up game. You go in the whole time, probably 2 to 3 months, worrying about whether you're going to get good enough final marks so that you can go for getting a partner on your midterms. Number six is having a strong mindset to our school year. I'm gonna come across a little bit harsh, but you know the saying. You just gotta try your best. I will say freaking you're gonna be the best. Is your best to be the top 1% of your class. Is your best to top 5% of your class. If the program you want to get into the end has less than 10% as accepted grades, it's been top 20% of your class good enough for you? No. If you want something, you have to get after it. And then you start losing good results and then you build confidence along the way. Number seven is putting the work in and outworking everyone, which is kind of contradictory to put this in this video because this is a custody technique video. But compared to someone who knows only city techniques but doesn't work hard, someone who doesn't know any previous techniques and is just putting her hours in studying and getting the information into the brain, is always going to put the person with better study techniques. I wasn't a brighter person in my class, so what I did was I just literally outworked everyone. How do you know that? I worked into the library before everyone else, and I worked out of the library after everyone else. I spent my time studying on Friday nights, Saturday nights, when everyone was going out partying. And there was, one of the other students that were studying in the library at the same time last time, and he's now a cardiac surgery student at UA. So things like that happen. So just I will tell everyone if you really want to be successful. Number eight, getting a serious study partner, friend who wanted to support you. If you think it's gonna be hard to find them, well, if you start studying late nights at the library all the times, you tend to cross these guys. It's hard to come in early in the morning and leaving late at night, coming in on weekends. But in the grad, I had a group of friends who I really studied with, and we didn't interrupt each other. When we were time to study, we studied, we didn't interrupt each other. When it was my personal stuff were taken care of, we went out and have fun. Number nine is staying consistent and staying on top of everything, especially in medicine where there's like million things going on. If I start to lose track of things, I get super stressed. So I have to be on top of every email, I have to be on top of every assessments and all the work I have to do. And right, you are dealing with like courses plus your goals, everything going on. So you have to stay on top of everything so that you don't fall behind and get stressed. Let me give you an example of consistency and why it's so important. You have student A and student B. You know student A is working Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, 12 hours each. Student B decides to work on Friday but takes Sunday and Saturday and Sunday off. And student B has fallen behind student A by 24 hours. So no matter how he tries, the next on Monday, sitting 14 hours to support 12 hours. On Tuesday, studying 16 hours. The guy is always playing catch up to student A, and when you grow in university and undergrad, you're just going to not be able to compete against student A. And number 10, I think, and number 10, effectively controlling your anxiety and you worry when you went through school. There are two types of warriors. One is someone who doesn't know, who shouldn't study and is worried about not studying. That's the solution to that is simple. You just got to study. Number two is the second type of warrior is someone who worries despite having done all the studies, and when you're in a position, then you need to write down what you are worried about. So on notebook, on iPad or whatever, you are worried because you're not seeing what you're worried about. So like what I have for in the middle, write down what you can control and what you cannot control. And something like what you can control is waking up early, going to the library and studying for X amount of hours, and staying focused when you're studying. What we cannot control is the actual grades that I'm going to get free scores. So if I'm worried, so I'm going to be B, I'm going to A below, I'm A minus, A plus. You cannot control that. Just focus on what you can control, and you just have to give up what you cannot control. So this video is really good. That I can really focus on the video, that I can know the meaning of the video, that it is talking, what is that what it is talking about, and it is a good chances and really good lessons for me to learn if I really want to be successful, to be successful. uh, that's okay, and you know what, actually he's right. I cannot control my marks at school. Actually, I did when I do the poem for my grade 11 English class. I did it just. I think that I did try my best, but when I received the my assignment, it is 70, 79, 77 and 75. Although I thought that I think that I did try my best, so I thought that it's gonna be more than 80, but it's just 70 and 75. So you cannot control your marks. So it is really important for you to focus on what you can control, and you just give up on what you cannot control.